The Indiana Fever held a 2-hour team meeting on Monday. They peeled back all the layers according to Sophie Cunningham. They had honest conversations that the previous 9 games had not created space for. They came out on the other side with one defensive scheme, a clear identity, and a collective understanding of what this team needs to be to compete for a championship. And 48 hours later, they walked onto the Gainbridge Fieldhouse floor against Angel Reese and the Atlanta Dream and answered every single question that the last 2 weeks of drama had raised. Indiana Fever 83, Atlanta Dream 71. The team is 5-4. They are back above 500. They have won 3 of their last 4 home games. And Caitlin Clark looked like the player who has been making WNBA history all season, even while shooting below her best, because the team around her finally showed up in a way that the previous 2 losses made impossible. This is WNBA Pro, and Thursday night's win was the most important victory of the 2026 Indiana Fever season.
The Indiana Fever took down the Atlanta Dream 83-71, and contrary to what might be general belief tonight, that the Indiana Fever, the storyline was good. We saw Stephanie White hug Caitlin Clark. I'm not really moved by it too much, because we literally just came off seeing Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White read off of a script, allegedly. So, it's pretty much expected that they would come out and do something for the first time that they've done in their career, is hug each other after a huge play we've never seen.
Not because of the margin. 12 points over a Dream team that just beat the Connecticut Sun by 20 on Tuesday, with Ryan Howard dropping 36 and 8 threes, is a meaningful win. But the importance of this game was never about the margin. It was about the response. After a week that featured a blowout loss to an expansion team, a viral sideline spat, a reporter's credentials being revoked, a team meeting, Clark defending White publicly with the most emotional statement any Fever player has made all season, and the entire basketball world watching to see if this team would crack under pressure. They did not crack, they won. And the win matters more than any of the surrounding noise, because it is the only answer to noise that actually works. WNBA Pro said all week that basketball would settle this. It did. Let us start with Kelsey Mitchell, because tonight Mitchell was the best player on either team and it was not particularly close. 11 of 15 from the field, 73%, 3 of 4 from 3, 25 points, A+14 rating in 32 minutes. Those are the numbers of a player who has completely locked in and is operating at peak efficiency. Mitchell has now scored 20 or more points in 5 consecutive games. He has been the most reliable offensive weapon on this team all season. And tonight, against a Dream defense that had just held the Sun to 71 points 2 days ago, Mitchell was unstoppable. He got to spots he wanted, he made shots he was supposed to make, and he was a primary reason the Fever won a game they needed to win.
Criticize the front office for putting you in this position. But then again, Kelsey, this is exactly where you want it to be. So it is what it is. But like I said, Kelsey's on fire, but she has 15 shots and only 1 assist. Interesting. Venom, people gonna be like, but Venom, she was going. Okay. Let's say she's right. Let's say you're right. Our coach literally criticizes Caitlin Clark for the ball getting stuck. Y'all know that, right? When Caitlin Clark is rolling, when Caitlin Clark is going, and Caitlin Clark, you might never see Caitlin Clark with 25 points and 1 assist in her career. I don't think you'll ever find a game with Caitlin Clark with 25 points and 1 assist. It just doesn't happen. She doesn't roll like that. I kind of understand Caitlin.
The Clark storyline is more complicated. She shot 6 of 17 from the field, 35%, 2 of 8 from 3, 25% from deep. The shooting slump that began at the Valkyries Chase Center game is now extending into its 3rd consecutive start. Clark has shot a combined 10 of 34 from the field over the last 3 games, 29%. The 3-point shot that was at 44% over the first 5 games of the season has been at 33% combined over the last 4 games. That is not a cold night. That is a sustained pattern that needs to be addressed. But here is what separates the Clark of 2026 from the Clark of any previous point in her career. She does not need her shot to be dominant. 17 points, even shooting 35%, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, a near triple-double, +2 in the box score. She was not at her shooting best, and the Fever still won by 12. That is the evolution. That is the player she has become.
Tito flirting with a triple-double, 8 assists with only 3 turnovers, despite Stephanie White reeling her back in after her huge momentum run. Caitlin Clark still willed the Fever to a win. Kelsey Mitchell was scorching hot. She didn't get going until Caitlin Clark set the foundation. The Fever tied the first quarter 15-15. In the second quarter, as you can see, Caitlin Clark took over the reins and she said, I'm going to do it my way. We're not losing this game. It was 15-15 and they held the Dream to one less point than the first quarter, and the Fever ended up scoring.
The mid-range attack that she has added to her game this season gives her a floor that is higher than any shooting slump can erase. The playmaking is so elite that a bad shooting night still produces 8 assists. And the rebounding that has made her consistently threatening in the near triple-double category is a genuine weapon that the league has not figured out how to take away.
8 more points than they did in the first quarter. That's a 9-point swing there alone. Then they outscored the Dream in the third quarter. Caitlin Clark had a huge moment there where Lexi got a block. Caitlin has a dime. Caitlin Clark has a nasty behind-the-back 3-point logo shot that she hit Alicia Gray with. In the fourth quarter, Caitlin Clark had a couple nice plays there as well. But for the majority of the fourth, she was kind of reeled back in, which is why you see the Dream scored their second most points in the quarter in the fourth quarter. They scored their first most points in the third quarter. In the first quarter, it was a tie game. Everybody got fresh legs. Nobody has rhythm. Caitlin is out of rhythm. Everybody's out there.
Nobody is talking about what Raven Johnson's performance tonight proved about the team meeting. Let me connect the dots. Johnson played 23 minutes with a plus 15 rating, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 from the field. He was physically present and active on defense in a way that has been inconsistent all season. The player who had 6 turnovers in 9 minutes against Portland and who has been the source of countless rotation questions all season played 23 clean, productive minutes and was the second-best defensive player on the floor behind Hines Allen. The team meeting apparently unlocked something for Johnson, or it at least created the communication clarity that allowed him to play within a clearly defined role instead of trying to figure out what White wanted from him in real time. Do not get me wrong. The shooting concerns about Clark are real and need to be monitored closely. 35% over the last 3 games is concerning for a player whose offensive output is so directly tied to the 3-point threat that she generates. When teams know they do not have to respect her 3, the driving lanes close. The mid-range becomes contested because the defense can cheat. The assists dry up because the gravity that makes Clark so dangerous comes from the threat of the 3. If the 3 is not falling consistently, the entire offensive ecosystem around her becomes easier to defend.
Live watch party, but let me play this clip for you guys so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to your screen. Stephanie White is literally leaving Caitlin Clark on an island. To the point, Caitlin Clark gets off the ball with an attitude. Look at her. She just throws the ball. You seen how she just zipped the ball to Aaliyah? And Aaliyah just fumbled. This is crazy just for Kelsey to miss it. Insane. Insane, bro. I need somebody to explain to me what the hell is this right here. AB with the ball, Caitlin Clark is off the ball. Do you not realize this is your generational guard just constantly waiting right here? Do you?
And the Van Sluten situation remains unexplained. 3 DNPs in a row after being signed specifically to address the front court depth issue. The player who the front office used a roster spot on is not playing in games that matter. If she is not going to play, why was she signed? And if the answer is she is not ready to contribute at this level yet, then the roster spot was wasted on a player who needed development time that the active roster cannot provide. Stay with me, because here is what the Dream Game specifically revealed about how the team meeting changed this team.
Not realize this is literally a generational player, literally right next to you, that you're trying to take her job away from her, Stephanie. You got Aaliyah bringing the ball up, playing guard. You seen it didn't work last game. Like I said, not watching the film from last game, Stephanie White going on record saying they're going to try to flush that down the toilet. It's like trying to flush a clogged toilet. The shit is still in the toilet. You're going to need a plunger. Review the film and find the mistakes. You're running from adversity when Caitlin thrives in it. This is bad. Look at Caitlin off the ball, trying to come to the ball. There's nothing there. What the hell is this? Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi.
Cunningham said before the game that the team is running one defensive scheme. And tonight, you could see one cohesive defensive identity across all 40 minutes. The Fever's defense was disciplined in a way that the Portland game was not. They did not allow Rhyne Howard to catch fire. She was 12 points on 5 of 15 shooting. Alicia Gray was 15 points on 5 of 12. Angel Reese was held to 7 points and 7 rebounds. For a team that Cunningham called out explicitly on Tuesday for defensive execution failures, holding the Dream 20 points below their recent output is a meaningful achievement. Hines Allen was the defensive anchor. She had 2 steals, 1 block, and 7 rebounds in 16 minutes. She was plus 10, and she made the defensive reads that the one-scheme system requires. Know your assignment, execute it, trust your teammates to execute theirs. That is what the team meeting produced, and that is what tonight's performance validated. The Atlanta Dream came in 5-2 and playing with the confidence of one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Rhyne Howard had just been unstoppable. Angel Reese was finding her form, and the Fever held them to 71 points and won by 12. Here is the bottom line. The Indiana Fever are 5-4. They have answered the most important basketball question of the last 2 weeks. Can they respond to adversity with performance? The answer is yes. The team meeting worked. The defensive identity is clearer. Mitchell is playing at MVP caliber level. Clark is producing despite the shooting slump. Johnson is contributing, and the team has won back-to-back home games after the Portland embarrassment. The work is not done. The shooting needs to come back. The Van Sluten situation needs to be explained. The rotation needs to stop creating 3 DNPs per game when the bench depth is supposed to be an asset. And the schedule is not getting easier. But tonight the Fever showed what they can be when the noise stops and the basketball starts. And WNBA Pro is here to document every step of the journey. We called for the team meeting to happen. It happened. We called for the defensive clarity. It arrived. Now we are calling for the shooting to come back. This is WNBA Pro. Smash subscribe if you want the post-game analysis that tells you what the win actually means. Drop your take in the comments. Is the Fever back on track, or is tonight just one good game in the middle of a larger problem? I want every prediction. Hit the notification bell because the season is 9 games old and the real test is just beginning.